Today, I'm very honored to introduce Robbi Parker. Robbi Parker, FDNP, is a national board certified health and wellness coach, as well as a ReCODE 2.0 health coach. Robbi is also the founder of RL Optimal Health. Through her practice and her membership community, The Prevention Path, she supports people in applying the Bredesen Protocol in ways that are practical and sustainable. She works one-on-one with both men and women, and in the membership, she focuses on women who want consistent support, whether for prevention or as caregivers. As a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, as she helps her clients as a health detective using functional lab testing and other data to uncover the root causes and hidden stressors of a person's health issues and cognitive decline, and then creates personalized diet, lifestyle, and supplementation plans to help them regain vitality, balance, and cognitive performance. She's joined Dr. Dale Bredesen and get the word out there that there is hope for Alzheimer's and is fully trained in his ReCODE 2.0 training and serves her clients by helping them with the 7 core strategies of the Bredesen Protocol: the Keto Flex 12-3 diet, exercise, restorative sleep, stress management, brain stimulation, detox support, just to name a few. She's an excellent wealth of information, an excellent person, and I'm very grateful to have her here with us today. Thanks, Robbi. I really appreciate you coming on for our listeners.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk with you
Yeah,
about this passion that we both have. So to get that word out.
that's it. That's it. And excellent. Thanks for making the time. And yeah, I think this will be really helpful for our listeners. So we'll get right into it. Can you please tell us a little bit about your coaching practice and how you support Dr. Dale Bredesen?
Yeah, so I work with people one-on-one. So those that have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or MCI. So when I do work with people one-on-one, that includes family members. So that could be a spouse. That could be, I had one family come up the first time when you get to meet them on Zoom. It's so cool. They were literally all on the couch. It was the client, the wife, all the kids. They even had the dog. Right. And so that's one thing I love about this, that part of it. And then I work with people doing this for prevention because they're two totally different things when we're doing the Bredesen protocol, right? We're going to look at it different. And then I do offer group sessions. I haven't done that in a while because I kind of switched over to a membership group for women. So those that want to maybe not continue coaching with me all the time, but need support. And as you know, when you're doing this, it can be lonely. You don't get the support from sometimes even family. So I wanted to help women with that to stay focused because this isn't a one-time deal.
Yeah,
It's a lifelong commitment.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's outstanding. It's such a great service, and especially for women, where over two-thirds of Alzheimer's cases are women. It's
So.
that much more important for that support.
Well,
How
and
did,
also, Eddie, I will tell
yeah,
you just the reason that I did choose just women, because I had it open to men also. But I wanted, the more I thought about it, women were the caregivers of our home.
that's true.
Nothing against men, Eddie here, but
Yeah,
most of the times it's harder to get a man going on, you
absolutely.
know, on a health journey, and it's the women that can help with that. We
That's
can teach our kids, we can teach our grandkids.
right.
So I really want, because the membership group is like education
Yes.
and to help them go out and to do this. So just wanted to throw that in there. That's a big
Yeah.
part of this.
Very, yeah. That's great you bring that up. It's so important, and you're absolutely right. It's two-thirds of Alzheimer's cases, but it's an even higher percentage number of caregivers. And you're right. I mean, I was never getting the phone calls from my dad on whether he needed help. The phone calls were coming from my mom because she was
Yep.
sensing it, and it was through her that we rallied around him. And she is still very much the primary caregiver, and I help how I can. But you're right. It's imagine if every woman was learning what you teach, and had these toolbox or tools in their toolbox of the Bredesen protocol, how many people they could help prevent, or help in their family. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
yep, yep. So great. Now, health coaching, how did you get into that in general?
So it started in my early 50s. All the kids were gone, out of college, out of the house. It's like, okay, what am I going to do now with my life? I've always been interested in health. And I came across Chris Kresser's book, Unconventional Medicine. I don't know if you've ever read his book,
Yeah.
but it talked about our current medical system. And then he talked about how he felt that health coaches, at that time it wasn't that big of a thing. I mean, it's growing, it's still growing. How they were going to be a pivotal part in changing our healthcare system. And when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. I've got to do this. And then just so happened, he started his first health coaching. It was ADAPT. I was in his first cohort. He's been working with functional medicine practitioners and helping them with functional medicine, but he branched out into health coaching. So that was like a year-long, really intensive health coaching program. The cool thing about that is I was learning about functional medicine, but also about behavioral change. So
Mm.
things like motivational interviewing, the state changes of change. I had no idea how much I was going to be using that in
Yeah.
working with people with the Preston Protocol. And so in that course, one of the things they asked us was, so where do you want to focus your coaching business? I knew right away.
Yeah.
I've always had a heart for people with Alzheimer's. I mean, way back.
Yeah.
I mean, way back. I've volunteered at places and they've just, I don't know, just always been drawn. Nobody in my family has had it, but I've just been drawn to it.
Yeah.
And then I came across Dr. Rosen. That was a no-brainer. It was like, okay, I need to work with this man because he is the real deal. I just love his passion, his commitment,
Yeah.
his fortitude, his faithfulness, and just keep going. And it all made sense. So I did his, I think it was IFM back then who had the training.
Yeah.
And then of course the 2.0, which was more training,
Yeah.
and never, never looked back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's excellent. You know, it's it is such a great it is such a great time for the medical system in one vein. Obviously, that we've got some real um, shortcomings that I think are becoming more apparent to people. But it is a great time because there is this transition where people are coming to understand that the behavioral change is so important. Um,
Oh,
we have no lack of information now. We have so much
yes.
information coming at us from different screens. It's about really being able to assimilate it and implement it to make changes. And health coaches like yourself are a huge part of that.
Oh,
Um,
100%. I always tell people you can know all that you know, right? But if you don't put it into practice, it's not going to work.
yep.
And a lot of times what I see, in fact, I mentioned to you, I have a larger Facebook group just for information.
No.
And one of the things that I made a commitment when I started it was I did not want posting in there about scientific yada yada yada, which is important,
Yeah.
and all these other things because I was committed to staying grounded on the fundamentals. Because what happens is people will spend sometimes years
Yeah.
going to this and that and the other thing, but they're not doing it.
Yeah.
And many times it's because this is just hard.
Yeah.
It's easier just to keep getting that information, and we all do that.
Yeah.
It's just human nature, right?
Yeah.
So sticking with those fundamentals is key. It's just key.
Yes. Yes. Fundamentals is key. To build off of that, you kind of explained a little bit there, but could you, for some of our viewers and listeners that may not understand the difference, can you maybe unpack a little bit? What are the key differences between a health coach um, and your doctor?
Well, first and foremost, health coaches do not diagnose. We don't prescribe medications or anything like that. But we all know our system, is a little broken in the sense of, and I'm not blaming it on the doctors at all. They're kind of caught in this system. They may want to spend more time with people, but their hands are tied. And so the main thing about a health coach is I get to know you. Not that your doctor can't get to know you, but it's hard to get to know somebody for 5 to 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I really get to know my clients. I get to know not only by, sending them forms where I'm going to have them, fill out a bunch of questions so that I know what's going on with them in their bodies and whatnot. But also I get to know them. Like, well, the first thing I ask people when they work with me, always same question. What is your why?
Yes.
Why is this important to you? I want that solidified when we meet because I want them to pull from that. And as a coach, I may need to pull from that and remind them, okay, I know this is hard, but remember, this is why you're doing this. I want you to always remember that. So a coach can really get, that relationship that they can't really get from a doctor and just that time. They have access to me too. Like between sessions,
Yeah.
I'm here. And we all know that's hard sometimes with a doctor.
Yes.
So they have access to me because
Yeah.
like when you're in the midst doing this program, like,
Yeah.
I mean, people can text me when they're at the store. Robbi, wait, is this okay? They take a picture and send it to
Yeah.
me. I mean, something as simple as that, but
Yeah.
for them, that's like that can really freak them out when they're at the
Yeah.
store or something like that. So to me, that is the main thing. It's that support, more of that support.
Yeah. 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 I mean, we're going to the doctor's appointments at best, maybe every 60 days if we're on the protocol, right? If we're for prevention or if it's for reversal, I'm sorry, for reversal. If it's for prevention, it's a little bit lengthened out. Um, what are we doing in that time between, and how are we affecting our ability to implement it, and how do we know if we're on track or not between doing labs? So health coaching is so
Right.
important for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, absolutely. Um, you know, for the Bredesen protocol, anybody who has heard about it, has been thinking about it for prevention or maybe some early reversal, what would you say, what can people hope to achieve by implementing the protocol in their life?
Well, the first thing I would say is hope.
Yep.
That's the big thing. It offers hope. Where that's another thing that I really work with people because, people come to me and there's a big fear factor. The Alzheimer's boogeyman, right? It's this like big thing and it's like, oh my gosh. And I help them to work through that fear by coming empowered
Yeah.
because when they can do something because mm, a lot of times doctors are telling them there's nothing we can do. We'll keep our eye on it. I'll see you next year.
Hmm.
When we know time is of the essence,
Yes.
right? And so it gives them hope. And so what I have seen, I can only tell you what I've seen in my own practice.
Yeah.
And so when people come to me that have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or MCI, MCI, as you know, is not mild by any means.
Right.
But when they come to me, what I have seen is that many of them stay where they're at and they do not progress. That is a huge win.
Yes.
That is a huge win because I want your audience to know
Yeah.
there is no cure for Alzheimer's. The Bredesen protocol does not cure
Yeah.
Alzheimer's, right?
Right.
So staying where you're at and not progressing
Yep.
is a win.
Yeah.
I've also seen people where they start going the other way. That's when we call it reversal, right? That they're getting better.
Yeah.
Their things are getting better. And then that kind of cascades because once they start getting better in some areas, then that gives them more motivation to keep going and they
Yep.
can do things better. It helps the caregiver. Everything starts working.
Yes.
And then I'll just be totally honest with you, Eddie. This program does not work for everybody.
Right.
It just doesn't. And I would be wrong to say that it does.
Yeah.
But in my own practice, the people that this does not work for, 90% of the time, well, 90% of the time it's two things.
Yeah.
They're either not doing the program,
Yeah.
especially with Alzheimer's. If you've been diagnosed, you got to be all in.
Yeah.
Not perfection, but you got to be all in.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that I see, it's usually type 3, it's toxins.
Yeah.
People just, because toxins, they're just not used to that. And like the whole thing with testing
Yeah.
and it's just strange. And many of them don't do it.
Yeah.
Or those that do it, and maybe like example, mold.
Yeah.
and they don't understand that they've got to get away from it. So that's what I have seen. So
Yeah.
that's what to expect. But prevention,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, if you do that, well, I should say 100%, but if you do this for prevention,
Yeah.
you should not get Alzheimer's. You should be able to live your life free from fear, knowing that if you start this early enough, and by the way, my youngest client,
Yeah.
28 years old last year.
Wow. Amazing.
I was so excited. Like it ran in her family, and she said, "You know what? I just, I'm like, I want to know now.
Yeah.
Teach me what I need to know moving forward." Like, is that exciting or what?
That's amazing. It's
Yeah,
and for
yeah,
someone to take that on, it runs in my family as well, and it's one of the reasons why, it runs in my wife's family, but we've had the early onset has run in my family, and this is why, on top of helping with my dad, my wife and myself, we practice it for prevention. This is kind of like a ReCODE home, Bredesen
yep,
protocol home, um, but. No, this is tremendous. And, when we zoom out, we hope that 10, 20 years, this is ubiquitous and this is standard of care and this is information that people are implementing, whether they know it is the Bredesen protocol or not, that they're implementing in their lives.
exactly. Oh,
So,
exactly. And really, everybody should be doing this.
yes.
Not just for Alzheimer's. Like this is just common sense.
Yeah.
Those 7 strategies,
Yeah.
and yeah, it should be a lifestyle. I mean, talk about changing our
Yeah.
world, our health, and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Great. Yeah. Dr. Bredesen uses this metaphor of the 36 holes in the roof. Could you explain a little bit about that for our viewers and listeners, what that means?
Yeah, so it's kind of the same thing, as an FDN practitioner. It's so funny when I became an FDN practitioner, I wanted access to labs for my client. I had no idea how much I was going to learn
Yeah.
and how much it melded with the Bredesen protocol. They call them hidden stressors,
Yes.
looking for those hidden stressors. So we think of those 36 holes, it's like what I said. People go to the doctor, they're having these cognitive issues, and the doctor slap on this diagnosis of
Mhm.
Alzheimer's. What is Alzheimer's? Alzheimer's is not one thing.
Yeah.
It's many things. And we even zero in even more for each individual.
Yeah.
It's their thing, right? So that's why we have to look for that. And so just going to a doctor and getting a medication and plugging up one of those holes, or even just kind of sort of doing the program or just doing some things and not doing that deep dive. I mean, 36 holes, I'm sure that roof has lots more holes now because we're learning so much more, right? And
Right.
so it's about learning like what is driving your cognitive decline. Like take you for an example. Like this runs in your family. Like even I know when I work with people that it runs in the family. Um, we can even find clues with that.
Yeah.
Of like what were their lives like? Was there a common denominator in all of this?
Yeah.
There's so many things. It's like, at FDN, we call ourselves health detectives. But
Yeah.
I teach my clients to be health detectives
Yeah.
because they need to learn. They need to be open. Many people come to me and they're still used to the medical system and how that works. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, Robbie, give me some supplements. No,
Right.
no, 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 no. They have to learn and they have to be their own health advocate. They have to learn this stuff to stay motivated. Of course, when we're talking with Alzheimer's caregivers, that can be huge, but they do what they can.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that 36 holes is just looking for what is driving your cognitive decline. And the thing is too, Eddie,
Yeah.
we're always changing too, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is we're always having to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah.
That's why I like teaching my clients. I don't just give them either a ReCODE report and just say, here's your report,
Yeah.
or, the labs from their doctors. I teach them what to look for. I
Yeah.
help them understand there's a difference between these ranges.
Yeah.
These are sick people ranges. No, we want optimal ranges. I
Yeah.
teach them to watch that because I don't want them to be hanging on to me forever. I want them to learn this themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tremendous. Yeah, it's um you'd think with something as the way I've always thought about Alzheimer's is like you know when we went to my dad's first neurologist and we we're we had heard about Bredesen. This is before we really dove deep. And of course, going to the first neurology appointments reinforced why we went in the direction we went into because not much there, right? They test B12, TSH, a basic metabolic panel, um, and that's it. And with the Bredesen protocol, identifying these 36 holes in the roof, doing the cognoscopy, as Dr. Bredesen calls it, it's like we finally have a dashboard. It's like if you're flying a plane, which is, it's a pretty high risk situation. You kind of want to know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Right? And that's kind of like Alzheimer's. If you have Alzheimer's risk, if it runs in your family, it's kind of you're up there. You want to know where the altimeter is. You want to know where the fuel gauge is. You want to know where you are with your speed. And we finally kind of have a dashboard for that to really see whether we're getting closer to cognitive, optimal cognitive function or in cognitive decline. Um, so these labs are great, and how you help people with labs, and we'll get into that, is so important. We hear from Dr. Bredesen, one of those key factors is insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance. Could you please explain the dietary component, this Keto Flex 12-3, and how it helps us in our cognition?
Yeah, well, when you think of the Bredesen 7, and for your audience, in case they're not familiar with that, we have the KetoFlex 12-3, we have exercise, we have restorative sleep, we have stress management, we have brain stimulation, we have detoxification, toxins, and then supplements. And really, when you look at those, they really are in order of importance. I mean, they all work together,
Yeah.
but they really are in order of importance. And so that KetoFlex 12-3, we need to start there. And of course, I get people coming to me. It's like, okay, I want to make ketones. It's like, okay, slow down. Let's back up here. Let's talk about how are you eating? Because food is medicine, right? So we first have to start feeding our body the nutrients it needs to do what it needs to do for healing. And then, the standard American diet, of course, most people are pre-diabetic just because of the food that we're eating. So it's really important to start with that nutrition part of it. Otherwise, if they just jump in and, trying to do the keto flex, adding those fats to help produce ketones, but then they're still, haven't given up all the junk food, that's like putting like, fuel on a fire. That's going to cause more inflammation. So we need to find out, like, how is your glucose? What's going on there? First, let's kind of get going there
Yeah.
and then slowly get them in, taking out those foods that aren't helping them. I let them know up front, and just to back up, before I work with people one-on-one, especially like with Alzheimer's, I'm really honest with them. I mean, I don't hide anything. I don't sugarcoat anything. I let them know what they're getting into. And so they know what's coming. But that being said, we're all different. And like some people are just like, I'm gonna throw everything out, boom, and they go for it. Other people, they have to take baby steps. That is okay. There is no perfection in this. And then, of course, we want to get them, especially if they've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or MCI, we want to get them producing ketones. So it's a mild keto diet, but it's not like if you Google keto diet, it's not what we do. I mean, there's lots of veggies for those phytonutrients. Yes, we do eat protein.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, Eddie, how many people come to me? It's a pet peeve of mine. I don't know where they heard it, but that Dr. Redden said like protein is a condiment.
Right.
Maybe he said that, but I know he didn't mean it the way they're thinking. So
Yeah.
people are coming to me and they're not eating protein, especially women. I'm seeing sarcopenia.
Yeah.
They're just, and they need healing and they're not eating the protein. So we do eat clean protein, right? But lots of veggies
Yeah.
and healthy fats and all of the things. And then we get them into producing those ketones.
Yeah.
But our goal is to get them metabolically flexible.
Yeah.
And how I do it with my clients, I've changed to help a little bit. I've done phases.
Yeah.
So phase one, everybody has to do,
Yeah.
right? To get into ketosis, it's straightforward. You
Yeah.
got to eat low carb, you got to increase the fats, and all of the things, but you're not going to stay there forever.
Yeah.
So then phase 1.5, that's where I live as somebody doing this for prevention. I have one copy of the APOE 4, by the way. So
Yeah.
I do this for prevention. Even if I didn't, I would still do it.
Yeah.
But I live in 1.5. So then we start bringing in some carbs and testing.
Yeah.
How many carbs can you bring in? Healthy carbs. If you look at the brain food pyramid, I know you're familiar with that, but level 3 is those resistant starches. We want to bring those in at some point. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we're not feeding our microbiome, and then they're not growing and multiplying. The good guys and bad guys are coming in. We want to do that. Plus, just food freedom. I get a lot of people coming to me and they almost become afraid of food. We don't want that. Food is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So I work with them through that. The nutrition part is probably the hardest for most people. So that does take the longest time. I mean, we're always working on that. But in the beginning, I meet with people pretty regular, like every 2 weeks, just to get them going. And it's climbing up a mountain. Sometimes we slip down and we just start over.
Yeah.
And that's okay because we can learn from our mistakes. I actually love when people come back and have, because they learn from it and they learn about themselves.
Yeah.
And then we just tweak and like, okay, what can we do to help you with this? So,
Yeah.
did that answer your question?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that helps everybody. And yeah, I think the diet it's um it's super important as the foundational piece, and it's from what I've heard from personal experience, it's the stumbling block that most people have the biggest challenge with because it can be overwhelming a little bit because it's such a huge difference from the standard American diet, which is creating insulin resistance in so many people, like you alluded to. But when you have a great coach in your corner who can just bring it down, chunk it down to bite-sized little actions that you implement over time in
Yeah.
a month, a few weeks, you can get there.
Oh, totally. Like the health coach, this is where the health coach shines because you're right. People will give up because of this.
Yeah.
And even, we have the Bredesen protocol or we have the KetoFlex 12-3, but it has to be personalized.
Yeah.
And so, like the KetoFlex 12-3, 12 is that 12-hour fasting window.
Yeah.
3 is stop eating 3 hours before bed.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of go-getters and they say, well, if 12 hours of fasting is good, well, hey, let me do 20 or something. And
Yeah.
then, of course, if you have one of the variants, APOE4s,
Yeah.
more can be helpful
Yeah.
or not. So what I see is, and again, especially women, I see this a lot because women struggle more
Yeah.
with the keto flex 12-3 than men do. It's just the way that we are. So many women will start losing weight
Yeah.
and and then they're doing this on their own. They don't understand,
Yeah.
right? And then like losing weight and getting under a certain BMI,
Yeah.
that takes like that is more important than doing a keto flex 12-3.
Yeah.
At that point, we want to fix that,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or we can also bring stress into it.
Yeah.
As I said, type 3 toxins,
Yeah.
what I have seen is the number one thing, but stress is right there with it.
Yeah.
And so when we do the KetoFlex 12-3, even though it is good for us to get those ketones, it's a stressor on the body.
Yeah.
And so if you're already under a lot of stress, whatever that's from, and you jump into this, that could cause you more stress. So again, it comes with knowing your person, helping them know themselves, and it's okay to do this your way, and you're doing the work. So yeah, there are so many components to this, not to scare people away from it,
Yeah.
but especially prevention, that's a whole different thing. We'd have a different conversation.
Yeah.
But Alzheimer's and MCI, Dr. Bear says the house is on fire, right?
Yeah.
We got to do this. So we've got to stick with it, but do it correctly so that they keep going.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. And you're right. Everybody's different. What you implement and how you do it, so that it sticks and it's sustainable. That's individualized to everyone. So
Oh
really
yeah.
important. And what builds with that and helps with ketones, exercise. How does exercise help us with cognitive function?
Oh yeah, exercises. In fact, we just in my membership group, we focus on one thing a month. So we deep dive. So we just got done with exercise. And
Yeah.
so no matter how long you've been doing this, checking in with that. So the cardio is really important. And I'm not talking taking your dog for a walk, letting him stop every 4 seconds and pee. I'm not talking about that, right? I'm talking like getting some what you can, but challenging people,
Yeah.
because as we get older, we get these mindsets because most people are older that have Alzheimer's. But we have this, I mean, I'm in my 60s, and so we get this mindset that we can't do things anymore or fear. So helping them through that. So cardio,
Yeah.
strength training, as you know, like I mean, the studies coming out now with strength training is huge.
Yeah.
So strength training, and I find that's the for women especially, that's hard.
Yeah.
So really challenging them to start the strength training, mobility and flexibility, because here's the thing, this is a lifelong protocol. And if you don't work on mobility and flexibility, you're not going to be able to do the exercise. And we know how important it's number two.
Yeah.
Most studies have been done on exercise, right, than any other for the cognitive decline. So
Yeah.
that mobility, flexibility, helping them to work that in.
Yeah.
And then balance.
Yeah.
Balance is really important too. So all of those things. And again, like I said, that mindset and really challenging ourselves and finding things that are fun. I just had one client, she started dancing, so that was really fun for her. And, whatever it is, what is it? I said racquetball. It's not racquetball. Help me. It's
The pickleball.
pickleball. Thank you. All the rage.
Yeah. Yep.
Pickleball is
Yep.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm really seeing too, we could talk more about brain stimulation. That's one of my favorite subjects. And I'm not talking about games,
Yeah.
but that community.
Yeah.
There's community with that. There's the hitting the ball, there's the exercise, there's the thinking, the strategizing, like pickleball.
Yeah.
Pickleball's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't played yet, and it's so many people around me have they've been pulled in and they love it at some
Yeah.
point, and I can see the brain stimulation part of that. Um, I was going to ask you about sleep next, but let's jump into brain stimulation. What's your take on that, and how do you help
I
clients?
love brain stimulation. When I used to do group programs, 12 weeks. I may do one next year, but anyway, when we would come to brain stimulation, people were always blown away because yes, the games are important, right? We want to build those new neural pathways, right? Because as we get older, we tend to do the same things over and over. I know I'm that way.
No?
So trying those new things, but I'm talking community.
Yeah.
I'm talking um, having some kind of passion for life.
Yeah.
Really trying to help my clients get out there. I don't know if your dad ever dealt with this, but a lot of my clients do, of being embarrassed.
Yes.
Like they're so afraid that they're going to forget a word. They're
Yes.
not going to remember somebody's name.
Yes.
It's, even talking about what they're doing rather than owning it. I love when
Yeah.
my people like own it, and then they start telling people.
Yeah.
But that is so important because, and especially I see it with my men clients.
Yes.
Most of them are retired and work, especially for men, for women too, but men especially. It's who they were.
Yeah.
And now they can't even do basic things. And and then they're working with their wives and just, that is getting to them. So helping them to get out, find what can you do? You can still volunteer.
Yeah.
You still have purpose.
Yes.
You still need to help other people. And being around people. We saw what happened with COVID,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that brain stimulation is always an aha moment for people because they're like, oh, I thought it was just about games.
Yeah.
And really encouraging them to get out
Yeah.
and be around people and and volunteer. And it's great brain stimulation, but it's also good for them.
Yeah.
It's really good for them. So brain stimulation is vital. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a powerful distinction there, big time. I mean, yeah, we hear about the brain HQ and how those
Which
can.
I love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right, but it's an individualized exercise. And before we had all this technology, um, decades ago, centuries ago, we had little to none of this dementia, cognitive decline, and some of the things are environmental toxins we know, but you're right. My dad definitely had this phase of embarrassment where he withdrew more and more because he was trying to prevent people from maybe noticing certain things and it, reintegrating to some level of communities is so important. You know, I'm grateful that through the pandemic we were all able to move together here under one roof, and
Mm.
we have a three generational home, so it's good. My kids are running around. Um, and we need that. It reminds me a little bit of the blue zones and how
Yeah.
community is so important to each one of those. And before we had any of this technology, the way people, as they got into advanced age, stayed sharp was staying in purpose in some level of community, whether it was a
Exactly.
multi-generational home or it was the tribe, it was the small town, whatever it is, we can't withdraw, we can't get into isolation. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Sleep. How do we improve
Yeah.
sleep and how is sleep so crucial to our brain health?
Yeah, it's so important. When I talk to people, when we first do our first onboarding, I go through the 7 strategies just kind of see where they're at. And when I ask them about sleep, they're like, yeah, I sleep. I sleep, but that was, and then when I dig deeper and ask them, well, how is your sleep during the night? Are you waking up? How many hours are you getting? All of those kind of things. That's a big difference. And they don't understand that at night, that lymphatic system, it's like the trash man coming in cleaning things out, right? It's so imperative that deep sleep is so important. That's really where that deep cleansing takes place. REM sleep is really important too. You can see I have my aura ring.
Yeah.
Um, for my clients that struggle with that, I always encourage them get an aura ring because that's so great. You see the data and you're just like, oh, okay. Then you can try to figure out what's causing, maybe you not getting that sleep. But for most people, it's really abstract for them. They don't understand it. Sleep apnea, that's a big one. My people that have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, like, go get a sleep study. If you think, anything, that's just let's rule that out because it's so important, if that oxygen saturation is dropping at night. I mean, so that's a big one too. So I mean, when you look at the strategies, Dr. Bredesen calls the restorative sleep, like the bedrock of the protocol. I mean, we know what it's like when you're not sleeping. I mean, you don't have energy to do anything, you just like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, mentally, I mean, we have to stay sharp.
Yeah.
Like for when my people are doing this, especially my guys, I love telling my man, like when I put it in this context, this is your new full-time business. You are now the CEO of you.
Yeah.
Like you need to look at that as this,
Yeah.
right? And so that sleep, you got to be like, you're like an athlete now. Like you have to be on your game.
Yeah.
So I try to get them excited with that. But yeah, sleep is really, really important. So I teach people, ways to prepare themselves for sleep at night. I find some of just as a few examples, many of my people are staying up late and they're watching the news. I'm like, no, don't watch the news. It's just like shutting that brain off,
Yeah.
having that nighttime routine to settle down, letting your body know it's safe. It's now time to go to sleep. Getting outside in the morning, getting light in your eyes, setting that circadian rhythm, making sure you're not drinking caffeine, and stopping that 3 hours before bed. That's one of the reasons Dr. Bredesen has that,
Yeah.
is because it helps our bodies to sleep better and to do the work it needs to do on the brain rather than trying to digest all this food, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, sleep is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Stress management.
Oh,
What's
that's
yeah.
stress
Tell us about that.
management. I tell you, stress management is a tough one. Um, And again, I'm an I love it. I'm like you. I love to educate and helping people understand stress management because most people think, well, it's just the way it is, right? Well, yes, we can't get away from it, but it's how you respond to it.
Yeah.
And then to remember also there's different kinds. So we're dealing with, where most of us think of relational
Yeah.
stress, like, that coworker that drives me nuts or, or something, or you're having, let's take for instance, being a caregiver,
Yeah.
or you have Alzheimer's, you have this stress. It's just like that is
Yeah.
huge stress in and of itself.
Yeah.
But now let's add on to that.
Yeah.
You've got something going on in your body
Yeah.
that is driving this cognitive decline. We may not know what it is, but it's a stressor. That's why I call them hidden stressors, because these things going on in your body, right? We need to find those. Physical stress, as we get older, I mean, most of us just like we have aches and pains or those kind of things. You may have been in an accident at some point and you just got that bad shoulder, it's always hurting.
Yeah.
You've got that. So when you think of all these, different, and then mental stress,
Yeah.
right? All of these things, they all add together and we're being hit. Environmental stressors,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So those are hitting us from all these things. So when I explain to them, you have to remember that it builds on each other. And while you're doing all of the protocol, you're working on some of that stress.
Yeah.
But I think when people come to me, especially with Alzheimer's, I mean, yeah, like, and here's what gets me every time. Again, women are more open.
Yeah.
They'll just let me know everything. But when I ask my male clients,
Yeah.
how are you doing with stress? Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, okay, you've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. How are you really doing? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so I kind of help them learn to get in tune with their bodies, to listen to their bodies.
Yeah.
And that can take a long time. It's really hard for people. But listening to our bodies, telling people to like meditate or something can be really hard. So there's lots of things, especially people that, um, have a strong spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Just prayer and going to church can be a really big help.
Yeah.
Um, or being outside in nature
Yeah.
is wonderful. Most people don't do that. Just going outside and yes, there's times when you would go outside and walk for your exercise, but hey, go outside and just walk slow and just listen to the birds, right? But there's those that are maybe more advanced. There's different tools that you can use. Basically, what we're wanting to do, we want to get the body into that parasympathetic state.
Right.
That's why sleep is so important because sleep is really the only time
Yeah.
that we go into that parasympathetic state, right? And we want to try to get there during the day. And then we have to know ourselves. And when we feel that stress happening, then we need to like, okay, I need to go and just do those practices, keep working on them. It's not easy. And then if we want to bring in the caregiver,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I watch the caregiver. I literally just I see the stress
Yep.
and they're on a mission.
Yep.
And when I say, "How are you doing?" I don't have time for me. I've got to focus on them. I'm like, "No,
Right.
you need to take care of you or you're not going to be around to help your loved
Right.
ones." And I see that's all I need to say. Look at a caregiver and
Yep.
you can see what stress does to a person.
Yes.
I don't have to tell you that. You know firsthand.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I know it's powerful. The stress management piece is so important. You're so right. It is different for everyone. We all kind of have ways, hopefully that are, beneficial, positive ways to relieve stress. Um, but you're right. Men don't necessarily cultivate those outlets on their own most of the time.
Well, I mean, think about it. They have been they have been the leaders of their home. They have cared for their families, especially when I'm working with a husband and wife. I tell myself I was not going to cry, but I see this, I see these men, the wife's frightened.
Yeah.
And even during our sessions, sometimes, they'll be crying. And you just, for a man, that they don't want to show weakness. It's hard for them to humble themselves. They were the ones that were caring and doing all the things, and now they have to humble themselves to get help. That
Yeah.
is hard.
Yes.
And we need to know that and to help them through that. That takes, I mean, I'm not a psychologist or
Oh,
anything,
yeah.
but and sometimes I will say, you may need to maybe go see and maybe you can get somebody to walk you through this, but I do a lot of it too myself and
Yeah.
to encourage and the caregiver,
Yeah.
to have patience. A lot of times, you may relate to this, the caregiver is more on fire than the one that's doing it,
Absolutely.
meaning they have more passion
Yeah.
for the person that has this.
Yeah.
This is something that they've got to do. They may not necessarily want to do it. The
Yeah.
caregiver is like, hey, you need to do this, and
Yeah.
we're going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
There's all these emotions and all of these things, right? And so it's really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's just a hard thing. That's why they need a coach.
Yeah. It's
That's
true.
why they need a coach to
It's
work through
true.
all of this.
It's true. I mean, a coach like you can help in so many different ways. It's not just the educational piece, the service in just being able to for you to listen to the the person actually practicing the protocol and the caregiver and any of the other family members who are willing to participate. That
Yeah,
in itself is such a huge part of being able to make progress because I mean I saw it in my dad at the early stages of him being aware that he needed to he fix things, fix himself, and you know
right.
trying to furiously learn information but not being able to retain it. It's a stressful situation, and then for the caregiver, um, it's something that whether it's speaking to a coach or maybe you find some other outlet speaking to people, community, your church, faith, it's you're right, it's not just meditation.
Yeah,
It's it kind of comes back to community, and having a coach on your team builds that community by one, and it allows us to sometimes get out of our way as caregivers because you're right, sometimes if we don't do stress management appropriately as a caregiver or the practitioner of the protocol, um, then we can't make progress sustainably. And it's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and even the body. When you think about the body healing,
yeah,
we've got the body has to feel safe,
yes,
right? And so if we're always in that fight or flight, it
yeah,
doesn't feel safe.
right,
That's the beauty with my membership group, the women. I love seeing how they encourage one another, how we meet a couple times during the month in a live Zoom.
right,
And some of these women have been together for 2 to 3 years.
yeah,
So there's a tight community. And they can ask the hard questions. Or they can just say, hey, I'm struggling with this. And they know they're accepted and they're safe.
yeah,
We should find that more, not just in our families,
yes,
but like you said, in our communities,
yeah,
because this is getting more and more. I mean, everybody knows
yeah,
somebody with Alzheimer's now. I
yes,
mean, and it's blowing my mind, like just in my own little world. Even take my church, for example.
yeah,
I mean, in the last 2 years,
yeah,
it's frightening how
yeah,
many people now,
yeah,
and so to find those places where you feel safe and people know what it is now,
yeah,
and so anyway, yeah, stress management, like I said, it's way up there,
yeah,
and then just doing those lab tests, working on that, that's taking away those stressors,
yeah,
right? So as many things as we can take away too,
yes,
right?
yes,
It's going to help because some things are just there.
yeah,
They're not going anywhere,
yeah,
right? We have some things that we can't, that are just going to be stressors in our lives.
yeah,
But there's some things that we can get rid of, and
yeah.
we want to try to do as many of those as we can.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, to build off of that, the protocol gives us things that are within our control and influence, especially when we start clarifying certain things through lab tests. This brings us to toxins. And um, what are some of the common toxins that you continually are seeing show up in your um, and your clients that have maybe already some established cognitive decline?
I guess tests. I've been working with my clients with the mycotox test, the mold. Um, Great Plains Laboratory that's showing you how long it's been now is Mosaic Labs.
Yes.
Um, so working with people with that.
Yeah.
So mold is a big one. And usually we can get a lot of clues. I mean, of course, with the ReCODE report, you can see just off of regular labs, there's certain labs that will give you an indication that there's something going on in your body, your liver's under stress or whatever. That's giving us a clue
Yeah.
something's going on. They're not good. The blood labs are not going to tell you what it is,
Yeah.
but that will at least let us know something, which is why on the ReCODE report, Dr. Bredesen has on there, the blood mercury, the blood lead, the blood arsenic.
Yeah.
And if any of those come back high, we want to dig deeper. So I've also worked with Quicksilver. I love their test with heavy metals. I love that test because they look at hair, urine, right, and saliva.
Yeah.
And so I love that test. And they're looking also at heavy metals. So we look at the heavy metals.
Yeah.
That's a big one. So looking at that.
Yeah.
Um, Gut health is something that's often missed, and
Yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah.
So just looking for those pathogens in the gut, or looking just how is your gut health? How is your digestion?
Yeah.
Do you have a leaky gut? Even that goes with, you're spending all this money on supplements. Well, is your body utilizing it, right? So things like that. So the gut health is really important. So, and then of course, like environmental toxins
Oh, yeah.
is another big one. Glyphosate goes in that category. Ideal is, if I have somebody coming to me with Alzheimer's and it's like, let's just get these done.
Yeah.
Let's just get these done. Why wait? In fact, just recently I changed when I'm working with one-on-one, it's now mandatory to test a GI map and an organic acid test because I can learn a lot from organic acid tests and the labs.
That's it.
So it's those three tests.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to work with me with Alzheimer's, we do that up front because so many people, they kind of drag their feet and they just like they don't understand how important it is.
Yeah.
But now that's mandatory with working with me because I feel like if I don't do that, I'm
Yeah.
not serving them to
Yeah.
the best of what, because time is of the essence. We got to get going on this.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's tremendous. Look, I mean, we've been doing this since 2018. We've done as many labs as we can do it, and yeah, the labs you're talking about right there, they hit home because we find, especially the organic acids test, you can identify so many
Yeah.
factors in one test and help you really figure out whether you're getting closer or farther away from where you want to be. So
Oh, yeah. I mean, just the mitochondria information and the detoxification, how your body is detoxification, because that's another big thing that I teach my clients. We're not just talking toxins. I teach them, right, to minimize their exposure.
yeah,
So that's where, what do we have control of?
yeah,
Their home and all of those kind of things. So minimize that exposure, but then also we want to get rid of those toxins that we can get rid of, right? So there's two things going on there. And this is usually when somebody with Alzheimer's, I mean, that's just such a bombardment on the body. Like we've got to address that.
yeah.
We just have to. I mean, our world is just crazy. It's just crazy of just all the stuff going on. People don't even realize. A lot of times when I do my onboarding and talking with people, like I had one client who she worked in Hollywood. She was a makeup artist for years.
Yeah.
She had lead.
Oh, yeah.
And lead is a tough one
Oh, yeah.
because it can get in the bones, right? And it can, and it's just, yeah, there's just so many things. Or people, a lot of teachers
Yeah.
they're like, well, I never had mold in my home. Well, they were a teacher for years and our school systems are known for that, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Mold, heavy metals, environmental toxins, glyphosate. Great. Now when we come to kind of, there's supplements as well, but when we encapsulate all of these together, someone's listening and they're thinking to themselves, how do I start? This makes sense to me. Whether there's a loved one that they want to help, who's already had some cognitive decline, maybe they want to start on prevention. What would you suggest is the first step in just starting the Bredesen protocol, working with someone like you, getting the lab test done?
Yeah. Um, well, I mean, everybody's at a different place. Not everybody can afford a ReCODE report or working with a health coach. That's why I love that Dr. Bredesen wrote his book, The End of Alzheimer's Program.
Yeah,
To me, that was such a gift to the world.
yeah,
So even starting there,
yeah,
that could be a great place to start. If you've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or MCI, though, um, you know, you just, I know, it's easy for me to say, you need a coach, you need a, functional medicine doctor. I mean, good, better, best. Ideally,
yeah,
get a 2.0 functional medicine doctor, 2.0 ReCODE health coach, right?
yeah,
But not everybody can do that. So start where you're at, but do something. You can get so much done with that book. You can join my free Facebook group. Every week, I talk about one of the strategies, right? I mean, you could do that. That's free.
yeah,
Um, but if you need more help, there's so many ways to do it. Apollo Health is great, right? You can go there. And it makes it really easy to get a ReCODE report. I would say probably, at this point, it's probably maybe 50-50, 60-40. I mean, I still get people coming to me from Apollo Health.
yeah,
And I love the ReCODE report because what I see is that, man, when they have this report in their hands,
yeah,
like they feel like, oh, they have a roadmap. And so they're not always going to get that
yeah,
from a book, something showing them that roadmap. You've got to have labs.
yeah,
You need to understand the labs. You need data. You need to know what to focus on. The protocol is great. That's going to hit everything.
yeah,
But to do this long term, and this is a long term, this is a lifestyle. It's not a one and done.
yeah,
So you're going to need to get help.
yeah,
So Apollo Health is a quick way to do that. They've got the cognoscopy on there. I give free consultations.
yeah,
Like I'll talk to people, right? If they need information and not necessarily work with me,
yeah,
but if you need help, I'll talk.
yeah,
But get help. Like just get help.
yeah.
Just get help. Just start.
Just start. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
educating yourself. There's a few different places now that you can get this information. And we're going to link your group. We're going to link all your resources as well. You've got a lot of great information. Your group on Facebook is such a wealth of information. You're always updating the information on a weekly basis, and it's such a gift to people. Um, and uh, there is there's a skepticism too, right? If there's anyone who may have heard the Bredesen protocol, they're listening to this, but they're also hearing that, maybe it's just better to wait for the next pharmaceutical product out there, or maybe this doesn't work, or what. If there's any sort of level of skepticism that's holding anyone back from just starting the Bredesen protocol, implementing some of these changes in their life, what would you say to them?
Oh man, I get it. I mean, I get it. I've been dealing with that skepticism for years. I see what these trials on some people can do that are doing these. I probably shouldn't say it, but some of these drug trials, I see what they're doing. But Dr. Bredesen has always said he believes that when we do find a cure for Alzheimer's, it will be with some kind of medication and doing this program,
Yeah,
right? He has said that.
yeah,
So I'm not knocking trials or medication,
yeah,
but as human beings, we don't like to do the work.
yeah,
Just give me a pill, right? You're going to have to work for this. That's why a lot of people are kind of skeptic about it too, right? It's just like, what do you mean? I have to do all this stuff
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah,
But I mean, it's just common sense.
Yeah.
Living your life this way is common sense. Um, what I would say to them is try it.
Yeah.
Commit to it for 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Commit to it for 6 months. See if you notice anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, some people may not notice anything in 6 months,
Yeah.
but most people will if they're doing it right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people just, when they first start the diet, not even the keto part,
Yeah.
like they get this energy and just a clarity and things like that. So there's always going to be skeptics,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons like I said before at the beginning of this, why I love Dr. Bredesen.
Yeah.
This man has taken so many blows and he keeps going because it's his passion. He knows in his heart, right? And he needs people behind him like us, like telling people.
Right.
And we know
Yeah.
that it takes years for things to catch on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're going to wait until this catches on, then you're heading for Alzheimer's because
Yeah.
unfortunately it could be a while
Oh,
before
yeah.
our medical system. And then, we won't even go into how we're up against big pharma and the food industry and all of those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's just, it is the way it is. Money
Yeah.
is greed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would just you got to do
Try it.
it.
Just
You
try it.
just do it.
No, you're right. We just got to try it. I mean, what's the alternative? And
There
every
is none.
there
There
is
is no alternative.
there is none. Diagnose and adios is what the standard of care neurology is really doing right now. And I mean, that's just within the constraints that they're in. I mean, that's the best that they can do at this point. And um,
The
it's
worst thing that's going to happen, Eddie, is their A1C is going to get better,
yeah,
and the
these are
HSCRP
good
is
side effects.
lower. What's
Yeah,
that?
these are good side effects, right?
I know, right? I mean, it's just like you're going to feel better mentally. You're going to feel stronger. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, it's great. I mean, that's what everybody says. These are positive side effects. There's really nobody who's ever had a negative, anybody who's committed to it for a few weeks, a few months, years. Everybody comes out on the other end. It's not just brain health. These are great
These
fundamental practices.
Right. But let me just say too, in my understanding of what they're going through,
Yeah,
because when you've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or your loved ones, you are thrown into a panic.
yeah.
You are afraid.
Hmm.
And we are used to going to our doctors and, give me something,
Yeah,
make this go away.
yeah,
To not do that
yeah,
is terrifying. Not that we don't go to our doctors because they can be, like I said, I have so many clients at their conventional doctor. They may not understand the medicine protocol, they may not totally agree with it, but they don't discourage their patients,
yeah,
right? They're there with them.
yeah,
And I always tell my clients too that there are lots of doctors out there. If your doctor is telling you that Dr. Bredesen is a flake or this will not work,
yeah,
you need to go find another doctor.
yeah,
You need to be your own health advocate because there is a doctor out there that is willing to work with you. And it's your responsibility to find somebody that will work with you.
yeah,
If somebody is just flat out saying, that's stupid,
yeah,
you're wasting your time,
yeah,
don't go to that person. Find another one. That's I love teaching my people how to be their own health advocate, how to talk to their doctors in a respectful way, how to ask questions, that whole part of it too, because I think I mean, I'm seeing more and more
yeah.
doctors coming up that are on board with this,
Absolutely.
and they're glad when they see their patients doing this. And they cannot deny data.
Yeah.
When they start seeing their labs, like, wait, what are you doing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. And we're seeing more and more trials that are basically mimicking the protocol. We had Dr. Dean
Yes.
Ornich's randomized controlled trial that
Yep.
basically took the entire Bredesen protocol, and now it's through him. But and then we have the Evan Thea randomized controlled trial that Bredesen is finishing up here, I think this month. So and
Oh,
supposedly,
is it this month? Oh, that's exciting.
yeah, I think it's this month it's finishing up. So we're gonna have great results from this, and it more and more data is coming out. I encourage people to keep looking at the data.
Yeah.
Um, I love the skepticism he's gotten of his sample sizes are too small. Well, he hasn't gotten one grant from any
Yeah.
sort of foundation, any government agency. It's all self-funded. And if you were in the desert wandering for water and in your hours from death because you're dehydrated and someone brought you a cup of water, would you then would you then ask them, why didn't you bring me a gallon? Right?
Exactly.
Let's take the small sample
Yeah.
size of a couple hundred people that have reversed it, and let's build on that. So that's awesome.
Well, and you look to it, all the top functional medicine doctors, you always hear them refer to Dr. Bredesen because he's the one who started this going.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he deserves, I mean, one day, I'm telling you, but they all, like you said, I think it's amazing that more and more people are doing this. It may not be called the Bredesen Protocol, but we know where it came from.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Bredesen would be the first one to say, hallelujah, I'm
Yeah.
so glad because that's what he wants.
Yeah.
And so, but you know what? To keep doing these trials, to make them bigger, to help people. What's really interesting, I don't think I mentioned it to you. When I first started as a Bredesen health coach, I was asked to be part of the ARC, one of his art projects for macular degeneration,
Yeah.
which was really interesting just to see that that was a very small study. And to see what went into that. I mean, I can't even imagine what, people think his studies are small.
Yeah.
They don't get what it takes to
Yeah.
do these things. And especially something like the Bredesen Protocol,
Yeah.
like trying to get people to do all the things, it's not easy. So I applaud him and the doctors that work with him on these studies for
Absolutely.
all that work because it is a lot of work.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. What's one step that every listener viewer should take to improve their cognitive and brain health after they finish listening to this interview?
One step, um, sit with this and really breathe in that there is hope for Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
There really, really is. I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and I see it every day. I work with people every day, and I see it. I see it changing lives. Um, um, don't live in fear anymore.
Yeah.
You are the secret sauce to this program. Know that.
Yeah.
Um, you can't just take supplements and think it's going to work. You are going to have to put in the work, but you will come out of this not only beating this or trying to beat this, if you're doing it for prevention, totally beating this, but you're going to come out a new person. Like I see it change people when they really start owning this and owning their health and being their own health advocate and knowing that they can do this,
Yeah.
right? It's just that's my favorite thing to see, that transformation and feeling encouraged, empowered. That's when they start telling people,
Yeah.
right? That's the beauty of this.
Yeah.
That's what I love to see. And I just want people to go away with hope.
Yes.
And if you have not been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or MCI, I want you to leave this place. Start this for prevention.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a great way to live. It's just, I mean, and you're going to think about, I'll end this with back with the why when I ask people their why. What is your why?
Yeah.
Ask yourself, why is this important for you to do something like this?
Yeah.
Most of my people will say something like the grandkids always come up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Something like that, or they're working and they love what they do. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I want to keep doing this for as long as I can.
Yeah.
So I want to take care of myself because I have a job to do.
Yeah.
And we all have a job to do. That may be as a caregiver, taking care of your loved one. That could be being around for your grandkids, for your kids. That could be just serving people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like just, yeah, get on board.
Yeah, that's great. Transformations, that key word, and it's what it is. This is not a passive process. This isn't a give me a
Mm,
pill and I'll take it and I'll just sit back and it'll do something to me. You're right. It is active, and this is a relatively small community that's growing now. What I love about it is there's a shared struggle in that we have to somewhat self-actualize more and
yeah,
more through this in order to get better at it, and we're all improving, and you can't not help but improve in other areas of your life while you're
ex-
implementing this. So it's
exactly.
it's very beneficial to everybody in your radius, your family. This is great.
Well,
And
and I would say one more thing really important is community.
yeah,
Because you asked me about the skeptics and all of those. You need to find a community of people, like-minded people,
yes,
whether that's through a Facebook group or a meetup in your community, whatever that is, like people that you can talk to that you feel encouraged. Because if you keep getting hit down by what you're doing isn't going to work, blah, 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 it's hard to stay motivated.
yeah,
So find that community, whatever that looks going to look like for you. Find that community,
yeah,
get plugged in,
yeah,
stay motivated. Because again, like I said, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint.
yeah,
You're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. And it's once you make it a lifestyle, it's just what it is,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Well said. Well said. All right, Robbie, where can we find you, your resources, your online community, your coaching program? Where can we find all that?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to my website, rloptimalhealth.com. My big Facebook group, I just changed the name. I have to look what I called it. Alzheimer's Prevention and Healthy Aging. It used to be Hope for Alzheimer's, but I wanted to open because I want to get more people,
Yeah,
not even that have been diagnosed, like we were talking about, we've got to get people. So there, that's free.
yeah,
It is a private group though, because I know a lot of people, when it comes to Alzheimer's, they want, so it is a private group.
yeah.
Um, and then my membership group actually is opening. I open it up every 3 months, and it's actually opening it up this month.
Okay.
And next month we are focusing on a Keto Flex reset. So great time to join if you need help with the Keto Flex 3.
Yeah,
So and then I think we're doing hormones after that. December, it's always review because review is huge.
yeah,
When I say review, um, well, I won't go into it, but a big part of this is learning to set goals,
yeah,
review how this is working for you. I'm not talking about labs, but how did your week go?
yeah,
What's going on?
yeah.
And to just stay aware and stay on it. So that's a big part also. So, but
Excellent.
yeah, they can find me there, but my website is probably the easiest because everything's on there.
Everything's on there. Okay, great. We'll link all of that in the description box below for everybody. I strongly encourage to, at the very minimum, get on the website, join the group. There's a lot of great information on there for people to learn. And you're constantly updating the information. It's a really vibrant and active area, and it's a good place too to get encouragement because we have to be shoulder to shoulder in this together and help each other out.
100%.
So excellent. Well, Robbie, thanks a lot for making the time for this. I know you're very busy, but this is
You are so welcome. I want to thank you for your work, Eddie. Like, really, thank you so much. And keep it up. And yeah, I appreciate you.
yeah, thank you. We appreciate you and yeah, you're providing some really great information in an ocean of people who need it. So
Yes, yes.
um I encourage everybody to check out her website and learn some more because this is early days for really a movement that is going to enable us to have a much better paradigm of brain health. So thank you for
Yeah,
everything you're doing, and I look forward to connecting down the road.
100%. Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, Robbie.